Hello, my name's Deborah Ongers and I run Snippets Needlework in Stevenage Old Town, Hertfordshire. And this morning I'm going to show you how to make heart-shaped lavender bags with a Christmas theme. So we'll be using printed material specific to the season. First thing you need is a piece of paper, and I'm using a sheet of A4 from the printer. Fold it in half and press the fold flat with your fingers, and then draw a rough heart shape. You don't have to be very careful with this because you're going to cut it out in a minute with paper scissors. Something like that. And then cut out round that line. I've added in my head a small seam allowance as I drew it, so you don't need to put anything else on this. And when you open that up, that gives you the whole heart-shaped pattern. The next thing, of course, is fabric. Now, these things are so small that you can use scraps of anything. You can upcycle old mats if you don't want a Christmas theme. So keep your eyes open in charity shops and anywhere else you can come across bits of old lace and so on and so forth. Today, however, we're going to use a Christmas fabric, and they come in all prints and shapes and sizes. That's one. That is not very bright, but it's quite pretty. It's actually very American in styling, but it's quite sweet. But the one we're actually going to use is this one, which is very Christmassy. Right, as you can now see, I've marked our little pattern with a 0.6 centimetre seam allowance, or 1/4 of an inch, and I have also marked the straight grain down the centre, and on this side, I think, 2 little marks here which tell you to leave a gap. Is sensible, and believe you me, I have actually sewn straight past one because I've done it without thinking. So that's the pattern now marked up. The fabric I have marked with writing the selvage edge, which is the woven edge of a cloth, and it helps you find the straight grain of the material. And you're going to flick that over enough to take your entire pattern. I've cut a smaller piece of material off the main piece just to make it easier for the camera and for me fiddling around with it. So I'm going to fold that over more than enough to get our heart-shaped pattern on top. And you also need to look at the pattern to see if it has actually got a one-way print or not, and if it has, make sure it's all growing up in one direction. So this gets placed on and then pinned to the material. You only need 3 or 4 pins, you don't need very many. And then using fabric scissors, you cut out your shape. And carry on all the way around, and then just very small nip in either side of those 2 marks to remind you of where to leave the gap. Okay, I've now come over to the sewing machine and take the pattern off, and I have cut the 2 marking points. There's one there and there's another one lower down. It's very sensible to keep it on the straighter flank of the heart. Avoid the shoulder. They'll be really difficult to sew away afterwards. So find the lower one and bring it under the sewing machine. Put a pin in at the lower mark and then bring the work under the sewing machine. And we're doing a small 0.6 centimetre seam. Don't forget to use the reverse button when you've started and gone a little way. Come down to the point, turn the work, and then come up the other way and all the way around the shoulder, easing round the bias grains that you're going to meet on the way into the V. Now the V will always drop lower than you think it does, and don't forget that you can also use the flywheel at the right hand side of your sewing machine if you need to do single stitches. Back round to the other side. I'm using red thread instead of a better matching colour so that you can actually see what I'm doing. And then don't forget to stop and reverse at the other set of notches. And that is your stitched out shape. Okay, we're back on the table area. The next thing you need to do is to clip just shy of your row of stitching. If you don't do this, it won't turn out properly. And then clip the curves about 1 centimetre apart all the way around the shoulder, and again the other side. And it's much safer to use a small sharp pair of scissors than big dressmaking shears which can easily slip. So it's right round this curve, and then the last thing we cut off straight is the point at the bottom. So when you turn it out you get a decent shape. Okay, turning out your little heart shape, if you put both your thumbs into the point of the lavender bag and fold your cut edges over each other and then poke it, and you'll find you get a much better point appearing. And then you can use a pin to just pick out the last bit of it, but be careful that you don't go too far and pull out your seam. And then you carry on just turning the whole heart-shaped lavender bag out. Put forefinger into the shoulder of it to get a decent shape coming. And there's the turned out right side little lavender bag. I get the lavender online from Yorkshire Lavender, which is one of the best around. It's very strong. You can use a teaspoon or any old plastic scoop and just get filling. And again, they look much better if they are slightly overfilled and very fat. So carry on pouring it into the hole until it's absolutely jam-packed, and then I'll show you how to shut it. So here you've got the lavender bag now full, and you need to shut the small hole. I've got a piece of doubled thread with a knot in it. It's stronger if it's doubled, and it's much less likely it won't pull straight off your needle. So I tend to use double. As I said before, normally I'd use a better matching thread, but for the purposes of showing you what I'm doing, I've gone with red. And you shut it with a tiny slip stitch, taking a stitch into the fold of the side of the fabric away from you, coming out to the side of the fabric nearest to you, and then back in again, right up across this 4 or 5 centimetre gap. And keep your stitches small so none of the lavender can escape. So that is shutting it, and I'll show you how to decorate it in a moment. Filled and stitched shut, if you put it down on a surface and just pat it quite hard, it moves the lavender right into the edges of your little shape. And I'm going to do a very simple finish on this of a bit of red ribbon with a bright shiny green bead stitched across the middle, and then I'll stitch the whole thing actually to the lavender bag. So again, double thread, stitch it through the ribbon first so that that's actually held down securely, and then this bead or gem or whatever it is, it's not quite like a button, but you can sew it on in a similar fashion. This one's got two slots to poke the needle through, and any beads like this I would suggest that you do go through twice on each side, just so that it is extremely secure. So it's back through that one. First find the hole, back through again, and then you can offer it up to the V part of the lavender bag and stitch the ribbon on very securely at the top area. Try to keep the stitches hidden at the back if you can. And attach it in such a way that it keeps the balance, so when you hold it up it doesn't tip forward. Hello, I'm Deborah Ongers from Snippets Needlework, and we've just completed the lesson on making little lavender bags, which are great fun, make fantastic presents, so you can get sewing on those. The next class is going to be on baby and toddler clothes, and this hat, very simple, is also reversible, with dresses like this, which are incredibly simple to do. And we will do them in a range of sizes, so you'll be able to pick and choose the one you want to do. And if you want another challenge, you can download the instructions for our Snippets ragdoll from the website. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.